discuss about target identification and validation of target, that is target validation. In previous lecture I have discussed about your syllabus as well as some points of drug discovery that are important in and they are being covered in overall syllabus, and today I will discuss about some idea about target identification. So I will deal with these contents. First is introduction of drug discovery, need of drug discovery, target identification, some brief idea about genomics and proteomics, bioinformatics, target validation, transgenic animals. So drug discovery, if you make a funnel like structure and you want to understand what are the steps of drug discovery, so you can you can understand by this diagram. Here at the top side, step 1 is written in blue strip. Here 10,000 to 20,000 candidate drugs are initially introduced or they are selected for the study, and in this first step, discovery and screening through high throughput screening and target validation process is achieved in step 1. This is first step. And in second step, lead optimization with the help of combinatorial chemistry or structure based drug design. This step is achieved where lead optimization, as I have told you in previous lecture, what is lead optimization? It is the desired form of your lead molecule where you remove the undesired group and add some desired group in your molecule, your selected molecule, because you can see here 10,000 to 20,000 candidate drugs are taken in top side and rest some are neglected from the step 1, and few drugs are escaped from step 1, and rest of the drugs are taken for step 2. Here step 2, after combinatorial chemistry and structure based drug design studies, it goes into step 3, and step 3 involves ADME T study that is absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion and toxicity study. So you can see the shape of funnel at step 3. Here the number of molecules are around 1/3, or you can say this is the segment where 1/4 molecules are taken in step 3. And in step 4, this is the clinical trial, and as you know, clinical trial is passed through so many phases, and first phase clinical trial, second phase clinical trials are also there. Next is step 5. Here new drug approved, or we file some application for new drug approval, and step 5, and after that step 6, that is drug to market. It is very tedious task and to drug from 10,000 to 20,000 molecule and select one molecule or 10 molecule to target or focus for the market. But overall process is, you can summarize it in this way. So what is the purpose of drug discovery? Drug discovery initiates because there is a disease or clinical condition without suitable medical products available. If there is unavailability of some medical product, so there is a need of drug discovery. Rare diseases or orphan diseases, some diseases are rare, very rare diseases, and drugs are not available, like you can say right now corona. So we have to find out the actual reason of that disease, and after that we have to find out the treatment. So first is drug target identification. Drug target identification is the initial step where we study the target, and on the basis of that target we design our molecule or we fabricate our molecule to act over the target. Next is target validation. If as we do instrument validation, as we do any process validation, so here target validation is also a process and it should be validated that yes, this structure is the structure of our target that we have focused. For that target molecule we need a lead compound and we make some modification in that lead compound to get desired action. For this purpose we need lead optimization. Here lead molecule is optimized, lead molecule is adjusted according to the need of target, and here after optimization of the lead molecule we pass it towards the preclinical and clinical development for further studies. So this is the overall drug discovery pipeline summarized in arrow way. Now target identification. Target, it is a cellular or molecular structure. So first of all you can define target in one line that it is a cellular or molecular structure involved in pathology which are responsible for disease, any cellular or molecular structure. And target may be it may be a receptor, it may be an enzyme, it may be nucleic acid like DNA or RNA, it may be a hormone, any type of hormone, it may be a ion channel as you study in chloride ion channel, sodium ion channel, calcium ion channel, and so many channel and channel mediators. Next is target identification. When you find out the target, so you have to justify that yes, the overall structure of target is like that. It is the process of identifying the direct molecular target, that is protein, nucleic acid. It is the process of identifying the direct molecular target. So you have to find out the structure of target, that may be a protein, that may be a nucleic acid. It is aimed at finding the efficacy target of a drug. It is the first step in drug discovery. Yes, identification of target is the first step in drug discovery. Tools for target identification. Which tools we can use for target identification? We must know. Tools for target identification are bioinformatics, genomics and proteomics. These basic three tools are utilized for the target identification. So many other tools are also used, but we will focus on these three tools. First, role of genomics. First of all, we must know what is genome. It is an organism complete set of DNA. This is genome. A complete set of DNA is called genome, and we can try to read the genome. And genomics, it is the field of science focusing on structure, function, mapping of genome. It is the field of science focusing on structure, function and mapping of genomes. It is concerned with sequencing and analysis of an organism genome. So type of genomics, there are two types of genomics. First is structural genomics and second is functional genomics. So structural and functional, two types of genomics are there. Now come to structural genomics. It is used to describe 3D structure of every protein encoded by a given genome. It is used to describe 3D structure of every protein encoded by a given genome. It has potential to inform knowledge of protein function. It has potential to inform knowledge of protein function. So they if you take a genome, So you can define the structure of protein also. So it characterizes genome structures, attempts to determine structure of every protein encoded by genome rather than focusing on one particular protein. So here we can read the overall protein encoding structure of a particular genome, and we can focus on a particular target, we can focus on a particular segment of that genome to target our drug. Various techniques used to determine structure of genome are de novo methods, sequence based modeling, and shotgun sequencing. Functional genomics. Second type of genomics is, that is functional genomics. Focus on gene transcription, translation, regulation of gene expression, and protein protein interaction. This is very important interaction, that is protein protein interaction. So here gene transcription, translation, and regulation of gene expression is and protein protein interaction are studied in functional genomics, because the function of genome is to translate for transcription, translation, and you can say protein synthesis or protein protein interactions. So we have to read all the functional criteria. Goal is to understand relationship between an organism genome and its phenotype. You better know what is genotype and what is phenotype. So here we have to study the phenotype by making some changes in a genomic structure, or any modification in genomic. What will you find in a change in phenotype? So this has to be studied. Measure all gene products like mRNA or proteins within biological sample. Measure all gene products like mRNA, because mRNA is responsible for sending messages from DNA to synthesize protein in ribosomes. So this must be studied. Techniques used are DNA microarray technique for this study. This is the diagram showing how the cells are isolated, and mRNA identification of mRNA from oncogenic cells to normal cells, code cDNA, isolation of cDNA from messenger RNA, and here again from normal cells, and combination by combining target hybridized to microarray. This is the technique used in microarray, where two types of cells are cultivated in separate atmosphere, and they are then again mRNA are isolated from, then again cDNA is isolated, and both the cDNAs are combined, and this is called microarray in nutshell. Next is proteomics. As we discussed about genomics, now we have to understand what is proteomics. Entire complement of proteins expressed by a cell, tissue, or organisms. So here entire complement of proteins expressed by a cell, tissue, or organism. Proteomics, large scale study of protein and their functions, is called proteomics. Large scale study of protein and their functions is called proteomics. Next is techniques to do proteomics. As I have shown in a previous slide that how we proceed for genomics, here how we proceed for proteomics. First is sample fractionation. We just take separate parts, separate the parts of sample, and we fractionate according to the properties, or according to chemical nature, or as per the density of various samples. This is called fractionation. Separate them, and again we apply it on SDS page. Then excised proteins are excised, they are removed from the sample. Then they are proceeded for trypsin digestion, because trypsin is an enzyme for responsible for the digestion of these type of products. And mixture of peptide is obtained, and this peptide structure is passed through peptide chromatography and electron spin ESI technique. So after that we find some mass spectra and like m by z ratios or molecular fragments of all these, and we try to understand the structure of these. So this is a advanced technique that is called proteomics, and here enzyme technology is also involved. Next is protein microarray, and high throughput method used to track the interaction and activities of proteins and to determine their functions. And method is proteins are immobilized on sites, then they are probed for variety of functions. And initially we just immobilize the proteins, and you know the technique of immobilization of proteins. Probes are labeled with fluorescent dye. As you know, fluorescent dyes can be used where we want to understand the movement of any material or when we pass it through any process. When probe binds to protein gives fluorescent signal. Here fluorescent signal is obtained, and here types of microarray is shown: antibody microarray, peptide microarray, reverse phase protein microarray. Three type of microarray are shown here. In antibody microarray, incubation with protein cell lysates, and we got antibody microarray. In peptide microarray, here incubation with after incubation with we obtain peptide microarray, and in incubation with in all the phases when reverse phase protein microarray are incubated, they give you reverse phase protein microarray. So there are three types of microarray on the basis of this chart, and we can also categorize them on the basis of analytical microarray, functional protein microarray, and reverse phase protein microarray. Next category is bioinformatics. Bioinformatics has become an important part of many areas of biology. In experimental molecular biology, bioinformatic techniques such as image and signal processing allow extraction of useful results from large amounts of raw data. In the field genetics and genomics, it aids in sequencing and annotating genomes and their observed mutations. In a diagrammatic flowchart, you can understand bioinformatics is information technology, information management, and applications of databases. Next, computational resources, use of CAD, computer aided drug design, use of genomics and proteomics and axomics that I will discuss later. Next is molecular biology, that is very important, and here it is shown in bold letters. Next is target validation. So as I have discussed all the previous slides, these are for target identification. So all the techniques can be used for target identification, and after identification of target we go for target validation. Target validation is a process by which the predicted molecular target, for example protein or nucleic acid of a small molecule, is verified. Here verification process is going on, and target validation can include knockdown or overexpression of the presumed target. Tools for target validation are first antisense technology. It utilizes antisense oligonucleotides and siRNA. Now come to siRNA. What is siRNA? Small or short interfering RNA, that is called as siRNA, is the commonly used for RNA interferences, that is RNAi tools for inducing short-term silencing of protein coding genes. It is a double-stranded RNA molecule which interferes with the expression of specific genes by degrading messenger RNA after transcription and preventing translation. Here you can see here that the 3 prime to 5 prime in that orange line, and 5 prime to 3 prime, that is called antisense strand, and sense strand is there. So antisense and sense strands are incorporated with each other. siRNA is double stranded RNA. It consists of 2 RNA strands in antisense or guide strands and a sense or passenger strand, which form a duplex. The overall length is 20 to 24 base pair length. Now come to the mechanism. Long double stranded RNA is cleaved by an endoribonuclease called dicer to form short interfering RNA or siRNA. siRNA enters the cell and binds to argonuate protein to form RISC. siRNA is then unwind to form single stranded siRNA. Here you can see in diagram that double stranded RNA or hairpin like structure second is shown. It is after dicer gives you sense and antisense combination and formation of RISC. Here siRNA mRNA complex is produced, and after slicing this is sliced mRNA that is obtained. siRNA and RISC complex find their complementary mRNA. So by watching this diagram you can understand the process of siRNA. Now come to antisense oligonucleotide. Antisense technology prevents the synthesis of specific protein as on S15 to 20 nucleotides, which are complementary to their target RNA. When these as on combined with target mRNA, a DNA RNA hybrid form, which degraded by the enzyme RNase, that is RNase H. RNase H is a non-specific endonuclease. As you know, RNase H is a non-specific endonuclease which catalyze cleavage of RNA. So this is non-specific and it catalyzes the cleavage of RNA. RNase H has ribonuclease activity. It cleaves 3' OP bond of RNA and a DNA RNA complex. So the basic line in this all is RNase H is a non-specific endonuclease which catalyzes cleavage of RNA. That is the here 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth line. This is overall process. Here when we incorporate an antisense, just wait. As we incorporate and an antisense, this is antisense oligonucleotide with messenger RNA. This is messenger RNA when it comes out from nucleus through nucleopore, and this is an incorporation of these two antisense oligonucleotide and messenger RNA. Here this is a and because this is antisense, so they because this is antisense, so they inhibit the translation process, and protein synthesis in ribosome is inhibited, and desired protein formation is also decreased. Mechanism of antisense oligonucleotide, as I think it is clear from this diagram. RNase cleave H cleave RNase H, here the cleavage process, and chimeric antisense oligonucleotide and blocking of translation, and ribosome is unable to form protein of desired nature. Role of transgenic animals. Next is role of transgenic animals. Transgenic animals are animals that have a foreign gene deliberately inserted into their genome. So transgenic animals are the animals that have a foreign gene that is inserted into their genome. So you can define transgenic animals in one line, that they are the animals with one genome that is inserted from outside. Method of insert transgene, how we can insert, or how this can be inserted into the organisms or animals. So first is micro injection. First method is micro injection. Second is embryonic stem cell, and third is retroviral vector method. So these three methods are used for the formation of transgenic animals. Working example here: target identification. Suppose we identify disease, that is Alzheimer, and translated this disease model into animals. Animal models sorry of Alzheimer disease: streptozotocin used to induce beta amyloid protein in hippocampus. As you know, streptozotocin is used to induce diabetes. It is also used to induce the Alzheimer disease through beta amyloid protein in hippocampus lobe. And after this, target identification by proteomics and genomics can be achieved, and overexpression of APP protein is responsible for disease. Next is target validation. First you have to identify the target, and here again you have to use genomics and proteomics. And for target validation, for this experiment, validate that really APP is responsible for Alzheimer disease. Deliver mutant APP gene into animal. This is APP gene which is introduced from outside, and it is introduced into animal. Progenes having mutant APP gene overexpressed. Here overexpression is noted and target is validated. How much is overexpression, and on the basis of that overexpression the target is validated. So these are the methods that we use for the target validation, and I have given you it all in a nutshell, and try to revise them in your own way. And I think this is sufficient content for your examination also. And okay, thank you.